From Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Okay, this is Kaz Kwiatkowski, the City Controller, and I'm doing it alone today. My usual companion, John Steiner, my cohort, probably might not be here today. He's got a little business. So we're going to depend a lot on phone calls today, and I do hope that you'll call because I am totally unprepared. I just returned from a small vacation, and I haven't put a lot of notes together, so hopefully, you'll call and keep us busy. Just looking around the city, as I was gone for about a week, it seemed like things are winding down. Roaring Ashore is done, closed up. I don't know how successful it was. I was not in town, but got a few comments on I was pretty close to the area here. Got a few comments from people that were visiting our community, and most of them were pretty positive. And my experience, I went into Canada this week. Wow, I'll tell you, we do a better job, I think, of taking care of tourists in our Commonwealth here in our city than the way you get treated sometimes over the border. Taxes are brutal compared to us. Go ahead, caller, you're up. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on. Go ahead.
Kaz, I guess you weren't at the last city council meeting, were you?
No, I didn't make that. I was out of town with my family. It's a rare occasion when I get all three of my kids together at one time.
Well, I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, I did. It's always fun, but I wish they were closer to Erie, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, did you review the meeting?
No, I haven't. I just got in. I got in pretty late this weekend. I was gonna read the notes. What happened?
Well, they voted. They made the final vote for Channel 2, so I guess they won't be getting the funding. Could you find out how the programming's going to change and when it might change if they don't raise their own funds?
No, I haven't. I'm sure. I'm going to try to contact my good friends over there at Channel 2 and see, how that will affect any plans we had of maybe doing one show over there or some. But I guess the way it goes now, according to the little bit I read about it, is that they'll have to come before council each and every year at the end of when we do our budget and request funding. It will not be automatic anymore for them.
So will they be funded through the end of this year?
I would think that any arrangements up until the contract is signed. I'm not a lawyer, but I would think all those agreements will be in effect. Once the new contract is signed, then I think all bets are off. Because as you know, we really had no contract for quite a few years with Time Warner. And we were sitting out there without a contract, just an agreement to keep things going, because there's no way in the world that if the city would have terminated the contract, you'd had a lot of unhappy people, if you pulled the plug on cable. And so, that's why, over the last couple of years, all the communities involved with Time Warner have decided to, hire their own attorney and get a new arrangement in place. But yeah, it sounds like now they'll be funded up. Like I say, I don't know the exact answer, but I would say they'd be funded up until that point where the new contract takes effect.
So they may be defunded even before the end of the year?
Well, I think they've been receiving money, so that's the way the checks were mailed right to them from Time Warner. We got our share, and Channel 2, Cat TV got their share right from Time Warner. So now when the new contract is signed, and I haven't seen it yet, it's probably on my desk as I speak. When I read that, I'll be able to tell you more about when the contract takes effect and where the money will go. The money will probably all come to the city now, and then it'll be dispersed by council.
So they may have to come before council.
Or they will in the future, from what I understand. Years ago, they allowed this agreement to be made where the money would be directly shipped to Cat TV and the balance was shipped to the city. That was a franchise fee. And so now all the money will come into council. They'll have to put a request in just like other groups do, and council will decide to what effect or how much they will fund them, if anything at all. That'll be council's, it'll be a prerogative of council.
So when can you let us know when programming might change or if anything will change on Channel 2? And
Yeah, I'll try to find out what the agreement says, and, because it's public knowledge, there's no secret about it. And I'm sure Channel 2 will, the Cat TV will probably come out with some information on how they're going to approach the new arrangement. Whether they have to do fundraising, charge for services or whatever. I have no idea. I'm going to try to contact them and find out for you.
okay, well, do you expect to be on next Monday?
Oh, this says we're not affected by that at all.
Do you think you'll be?
This show here is not under Cat TV.
Do you expect to be on next Monday?
Yes, I do. I don't think I have anything coming down that I won't be.
Okay.
Yeah, see, we're not, like I say, education and government are separate channels. The only channel that's going to be affected is going to be Channel 2.
Yes.
And, because we're on a different thing here.
Yes. Okay.
But yeah, I'm planning on being on.
Okay.
I'm going to try to warn you if anything comes up that I can't be on the air, but that's usually very rare.
Okay, Jazz.
Okay?
Appreciate it.
And I'll try to get some information on Cat TV about, the little I'm going to know, but we'll try to figure out, try to find out some of the basic agreements on it.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you for calling. Oop. Something happened there. Can you call back? We're just going to make a note here. Go ahead, caller. You're on.
Oh, it's good to see you back here, but I don't see your two little pepinos. They're gone back home?
Yeah, you know what? We had to say goodbye to them up in Canada.
Did you really?
Yeah, they were taken off from Buffalo, New York. And then my daughter left yesterday, and she drove back to Minnesota with her husband, and then I had to say goodbye to my last grandkids about 2 hours ago. So I'm down the dumps a little bit.
House is quiet. And
Well, yeah, but it's good
raising
it,
the
John,
Dickens and
it's really fun, John, when you got them all, all together.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But this world today, all the kids are scattered, they're around, so it's very, very rare when we get them all three together.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I heard that gentleman talking about Cat TV.
Yeah.
Not that I dislike Cat TV, because I think they do a great job, educational-wise and otherwise. But I understand that they've never submitted an audit of the funding they've been getting.
Well, what's crazy about that is, I'm sure and I haven't, like I told you, I haven't looked at the new agreement. I would hope that various, checkpoints were put in there, because they do have a board, and they have their own independent board that.
Yeah, but now that the city council is going to control the purse strings.
Oh yeah, well, usually, and I'll tell you this, John, it's my experience that whenever we give money away, and I sign the contracts, I usually take a look in there and always make sure that we reserve the right to either audit ourselves or appoint an auditor to audit for us.
That's true there. And the whole thing here is we don't know who's making what or who's on salary and who's being volunteering the expense of their materials.
Well, I don't know if the previous agreement, called for that. In the old days, they did a lot of things that are different. Today, we have transparency. And I think it's only prudent that if we give money, they will probably ask them to submit the same things that our authorities do, which is pay scales and budgets. We get that from all of our Parking Authority, the Housing Authority, Redevelopment Authority, Port Authority, and there are various agencies, including ourselves, that can audit those funds which are, pertinent to us. You know what I'm talking about, John?
I understand that wholly. The whole thing here is,
And I don't think they're hiding it over there, John. They're pretty good people. I just think
there's not that much money for what they do and how many times they're on to hide anything. The only thing they might be hiding is the salary and how many people are being paid and what they're being paid.
Well, I don't think they make I've been over there, John. It's a pretty lean operation. I had a neighbor that worked there, and I don't think they have a big staff. A lot of the things they have there are volunteer.
Well, with the $200,000 budget that they're getting from the previous, from Time Warner,
yeah,
and I understand that Lechner was getting like $60,000 plus his benefits.
If he's getting $60,000, I'm telling you the truth, he's probably one of the best bargains compared to what some of our authority people are getting.
Well, that's true there.
They make more than the mayor. Some of these authority people.
We're making more than the mayor.
Yeah,
Close now.
And here's what I know about. I met a couple of people at cable TV, and they were friends of mine, and they do not get a dime. A lot of them do it because they're trying to get experience. They're
promoting and directing and learning the trade.
DJ, the guy that was on with me, he admitted he was paid. Him and Bob and I think one other guy.
You have to have some paid salaries. There's no doubt about that.
But I even do radio on weekends through Gannon. With my with that Italian show we do.
Yeah.
And we do the Polish show and all that. Somebody has to pay the electric, so part of that is,
That's true.
There's equipment maintenance, and even at Gannon, they have a couple staff people, but the majority of us are either students or on the weekends, it's a lot of the community, and we don't get paid, and every once in a while, Gannon will ask us for a little contribution, which I can understand because the equipment will go bad, and we're using it too,
For sure.
So, we try to help them out. So, it's not just salaries that they're underwriting. There's definite costs of operation, the power, the equipment. And equipment breaks down. You wouldn't think it does, but it does.
True, and it's not a PBS deal. It's an outside deal.
Yeah. And you know what? They did a lot of nice things. I was amazed at how many people were watching that parade of parades this week.
That's one thing I'll say about them. We have Erie Days and all these concerts and all that, and they try bringing out there to the people that can't come in or won't come down, and I'm one of those that won't come into the city.
Well, even the churches, I've heard a lot of people watch. I was amazed how many people, when I was on the radio, if we didn't play the Church of the Covenant, if we were a little bit late in putting on their service, people, would call us and want to know what happened because there's a lot of shut-ins that can't get to the various religious services or.
Well, of course, you watch the churches on cable television. You see the Pope in Italy telling when he blesses the crowd, he says, "All you dagos get off the grass."
Oh my gosh, you're bad, John.
But
a lot of local ministers do use cable, cable TV, and it's kind of it's nice because there are a lot of people that just can't get out,
And in case anybody was offended by that Dago joke, tell them I'm a Dago.
I know you are, John. I've often told people though about just about the different things that are on cable that sometimes we overlook the seniors, the people with needs,
Yeah, kudos to the streets department. They got my potholes fixed.
Wow, really? I tell you what, there's a new sheriff in town.
Well, the sheriff has his hands full.
Yes, he does, but I heard he's an honorable man, and, he must have been listening because he got you right away, right?
Tell you what, with that concrete outfit there on 38th Street, they're doing a bang-up job.
And where did I see him? They're going down Parade Street now, I think.
McClellan now.
Huh?
They're past McClellan.
Yeah, they're on Parade, I think.
Well, they may be over there now, but the last I saw, they were doing forms on Rice Avenue.
Oh, it wasn't Parade Street. It was, they're heading down they're coming down Pine Avenue now, I think.
Yeah, they do a bang-up job, and they do an efficient job, and maybe we should have them have all the jobs that are so big. And he's got all of the equipment ready to go, and they were going.
Yeah, it was minimal obstruction, too. I got to tell you, that was one of the best
They
jobs.
do it quick, and then they pull their cones in right away to open it right back up, and it's not like the other two. They tie it up like crazy.
Yeah, this guy was, what did we say, Vivella, I think it was.
Yeah,
Velvela, or?
it's almost like Gary Villala upstairs, but it's not. It's Vallaha, I think.
Yeah, they're quick, though.
They're doing a great job. And, I've seen down at the waterfront area, they've taken those signs down, those advertising signs.
Well, they should be. I understood a long time ago they weren't supposed to have anything there,
That waterfront area.
Now, they can't do anything on private property, but...
That's not private property.
No, but I mean, there were some issues, but some people, there are places that are owned by people that they can do what they want to do, but not on the public property.
I listened to John Oliver saying they'll get all this money into the city because of the road and the shore.
Yeah.
How many local vendors were down there in that park?
The answer to that is, I believe, none.
And did they all have to buy permits?
Yes, they did. That I know for a fact. Mr. Rocco was, I was in his office and he had the list. He showed me the checks. We do collect.
They're bringing money in, but the local vendors aren't getting all of it. Just the hotels and the bars and the eateries. And the big money seems to go to those people that are buying those spots. We should have it for our vendors to sell their materials and everything.
Actually, I think a few years ago, some gentleman complained about that, and he thought it was the city. And I said, the city responded, and I did too on the show here, that we have nothing to do with that. That is strictly the Manufacturers Association of Erie.
So,
we only get our vending fees because that's part of city ordinance, but.
Right. Do they purchase another permit after they're done for the next year if they're coming back? Do they purchase them ahead of time?
Not usually. That's done every year, but it's not. See, the problem is, who picks them is the manufacturers. They have to deal with that first, and then they have to deal with us on the vending permit. Just like the health department will inspect them also.
It's just like the rib cook-off. Who runs the rib cook-off?
That's a lady. I'm trying to think.
Another. Well, the city's got enough hands full, rather than running all these various.
Yeah, we only run we run Celebrate Erie. That one we do. But the Rib Fest is independent, and so is Roaring the Shore. In the old days, so was the old art show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, the city itself only runs Celebrate Erie from top to bottom. The rest, they have our cooperation. They have to deal with us, but those are independent promoters that do that.
Okay, let me get off in case somebody else wants to get at you.
Okay, if it gets dead here, which I'm hoping it doesn't,
alrighty.
You can call back. But hey, I want to tell you also that when they complained about that grass up at Liberty Plaza.
Well, that got down real quick.
Yes, it did, but I'm not sure if it got down at the car washes, did it?
Oh, it's still up high. And then I even noticed some more grass on 13th and Pittsburgh Avenue.
Okay, but I was happy. My mother told me, she rode by there and she said they were out there like the next day cutting down that Liberty Plaza.
Well, the city even come up and got this corner up here, this little triangle. and did that, and they exposed the fire hydrant. You know, maybe they ought to give some of the people a couple gallons of paint, and if I'd have time to paint the fire hydrants and all that to make them quicker accessible in wintertime especially.
Well, they used to have a deal where I think like colleges and stuff would volunteer. Some of the fraternities would go around and paint them.
Yeah.
Or the neighborhood watches would paint them,
Curtis Jones wants that deal for the kids for the summer, and I guess they got $7,000 out of the city council budget. Maybe they ought to give them all a gallon of paint and a paintbrush and a scraper and go get some of these fire hydrants. Of course, I don't know about the liability.
Well, I mean, I think if you do it the proper way, if they're what do you call it, blockaded properly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good public service project.
Sure it is.
And, things like that come in handy when, we overlook that until the snow covers them
Right, or if they try to open something up and it's all scaled up and rusty.
or even going around and cutting the grass around them,
Yes. Maybe that's a good job for Witherspoon.
Yeah, I tell you what, if I had a fire hydrant in front of my house, it would be painted and cut.
Yeah, I keep mine clear in the wintertime, I'll say that much.
Because I want the firemen to, I want them to be able to hit, if something happens, God forbid, at least, it's not going to be my fault.
Yeah, we have a retired fireman living next door to me, and he's up there all winter too. We know what it's all about. We had a couple of big fires up here, and they couldn't find the fire hydrants.
No, that can happen.
Okay, we'll bail out and keep listening.
Adios, John.
Oh.
And, we're going to definitely check on, see what we can find out about the CAT contract. John brought up an interesting point about the fire hydrants. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller, you're on.
Hey, Kaz, how you doing, buddy? It's been
Good.
a couple weeks since I called.
Yeah, I missed you. You called up earlier before I was all set up, bud.
Yeah, it's all right, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little tired, but I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm walking, so I can't see who's there with you, but DJ's not there, is he?
Nobody. I'm here solo today.
Oh, okay. I was wanting to know, it'd be nice to see DJ come back on the show and talk about Cat TV. I had a conversation with him down there at Roar on the shore, and he was explaining to me what's going on. And
I think he's got a welcome here anytime he wants.
Yeah, he knows that. But I mean,
I'm not speaking for Cat TV, but I think they probably wanted to see what was going to happen.
Yeah, but down there at Roar on the shore, man. Cat TV, they had them big screens down there, them television, in that crowd, and there were so many people looking at them other screens, Cats, because, they couldn't get close to the stage.
Right.
Them guys are a big access in this community.
Did Cat TV do that?
Yeah, Cat TV, yeah. DJ was down there. Heck, they had a whole crew. They had people down there filming it. I mean, them guys, it was like a television station.
Well, I hope, it's not my call, but I hope council does take into account all the good things they do.
Right, because they do. They do that every single year. Them guys have their own shows. They come there and donate their time and run the cameras. And
I try to tell people I do a little radio show on the weekends, and man, God forbid you don't do it, or you have a little trouble.
Right.
And people look forward to that. You don't think you have no idea how many people even watch this show that don't call up.
Oh, I know. It's like I said, I haven't been able to call, but I've been watching it, the reruns and stuff like that. And
no, I think they do a great job. And like I told John, it costs money to pay for all that power, the maintenance of equipment, updates.
Right. Well, I just like I said, I hope, and I don't know if DJ come on there and and talk about it or not, because he doesn't want to cause any problems. But
no, but he's welcome. Let me tell you this: he's welcome. I'm going to call him and tell him, I remind him from time to time he's welcome to come on anytime he wants.
Yeah, I just think he don't want any. He wants to talk about it, but then again, he don't want to make things worse than they are. But I think the citizens very need to know what's really going on. With that, and it's not everyone on council or the mayor's office. It's just a couple people that's really against it.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. I mean, here, for instance, here's another subject I want to talk about, and it's something that we need, and it was a good cause, but the way that it was done is exactly why people do not like politicians. take Curtis Jones and this youth employment thing that he did. It was a great idea, but what did he do? He went ahead and hired his buddies' kids, okay? And that's not the way you do things. You know, and then Witherspoon's going to say, oh, you know, we know it needs tweaked, and we'll do that next year. Well, there's no tweaking about it. It should have never been done that way. Curtis Jones should have had nothing to do with that. You know, and he said on city council, I heard him say that, you know, kids came to him and he gave them an application and they didn't know how to fill out an application, so they learned how to fill out an application. You mean these kids at 16, 17 years old don't know their name? What's on a job application? You put your social security number, you put your references. I mean, you know, that was just blowing smoke for him to say that these kids did not know how to fill out an application. And he handed an application and they handed it back to him, but nothing filled out. You know, but I mean, it's just, that's the reason people don't trust politicians. He had a great idea, something that needed to be done, something to keep people happy, and yet he turned it around and screwed it all up by hiring his friends' kids for the program. You know, we always have McAdory and the other guy and all these people talking about race and black and white. I would like to know how many white kids was hired for Mr. His little program. I'd like to know how many white kids were hired. I'll bet you if there was one of them, we were lucky.
That's why I think we have to do, to keep politics out of it, you always have to have just a lottery system. Have numbers drawn at random, you know, whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, that's just, you know, I mean, it's, you don't hire your friends as kids, or he should have had nothing to do with that. That should have been put in. And the only one that voted that down was the teacher. I can't think of his name. His dad was the sheriff.
Oh, Bob Mursky.
Bob Mursky was the only one that said no to that. And a lot of people should have been saying no to that until it was done right.
Well, I think, you know, I think Bobby and I and everybody that's an elected official agree that, you know, we should be putting kids to work during the summer. That's, you know, when I was a kid.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
No, when I was a kid, you know, we had programs like playground attendance, working for the parks department, cutting grass, stuff like that, you know.
Right, right.
And that kept us, is that going to keep everybody out of trouble? No, but it'll go a long way, I think.
Well, what's the shame, and it's not just kids in the inner, you know, it's not just black kids, it's white kids, Hispanic stuff. You know, these kids, Kaz, they make $400 or $500 on a street corner and a half a day selling drugs. Why do they want to work? They know that. And it's just a shame in society and whole today.
What you can't get into the kids' head today is that some of the decisions they make when they're young are going to affect them when they're older. And they're sitting there, you know, 20 years down the line, and they want to be an attorney or they want to be a police officer, and they can't.
Right.
And you know, you know, that's what's not getting into people's heads is that, yeah, you can do all these things when you're young, and people can say, well, you're just growing up, but they have consequences later in life for you.
You got that right.
And you know, you may not get to the college you want. You may not be able to be, you know, when they ask you, do you have a charge against you? Well,
you're right. Consequences start when you're a juvenile.
That's why we got to get these kids early. And if I like one program, you know, I'll say this about Mel. Mel has a beautiful program keeping kids playing basketball. That's what we need to do. Keep kids active, working, you know, away from the street corners. If we can do that, and then get role models to tell them, you know, you got choices to make in life right now when you're 16, you're 15, you're 12, that are going to affect you when you're 20.
Yeah, you're right. It starts at home, but, you know, it's unfortunate there's so many kids that grow up today with single parents, and that's in every community. It's not just black, it's white, it's all these kids, you know, they're brought up with one-parent household, and that parent's working, so the kids are usually by themselves, you know, for the
right.
most part, and when you're young and you're home alone, you're gonna get into trouble.
You know, they when I was on the school board, they were always debating about the value of like the marching band or athletics, but the coaches and the coaches and people in charge of these programs would tell you that as long as they had control of the kids, you know, even no matter what lifestyle they came from, if the kids had something to work for, you know, they could keep them out of trouble. You know, that's the positive role models.
Right.
But what do we cut? We cut music programs, we cut minor athletics. You know, that's where I think we goof up. Not everybody's going to be a football player, but there might be a lot of kids that like to play soccer or baseball, you know, or play a musical instrument. You know, if we, society-wise, we could save a lot more money by paying now than incarcerating them, you know, 20 years from now.
Right. Well, we got to leave the politics out of everything. I mean, just take the Zimmerman case. I mean, you know, we have a justice system, justice for all. You know, and now that, and no matter what anybody thinks, you know, we can't have a justice system because people want to protest and demand that something be done. We can't have a justice system on that.
I'm really fearful that all the gains we think we've been making over the years, I just, you know, I hope they are truly gains because, you know, I've tried to raise my kids that way, you know, that.
Right. Well, you know what the problem is we have some race baiters who will just keep things going, and the media. I mean, the media's milking this cow as long as they can. It's just a shame. You turn on the TV, Fox News, MSNBC, no matter what, and that's all they have is the Zimmerman case on. And what? It's been over a week now, and they're just milking it, and they're just, you know, it's a distraction is what it is.
I know,
it's just a distraction of what's really going on in the world.
Here's all I care about. If I'm in a hospital, I don't care what color the doctor is or what his ethnicity is.
You got that right.
If he's the best, he's going to be mine. Just like our president, whether you like him or you don't like him, he is the president. He represents our country.
Right.
And we got to get over it. You know,
Well, I thought things was, and I've said this to you before, you know, I thought when President Obama got elected that proved that things was better.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that they are. And I have a lot of blame to the media and politicians for it being that way. But then again, you had Obama coming out and commenting on this, but, you know, I didn't hear him commenting on the Zimmerman's mother and father having death threats against him, you know, and I don't know. Something has to change. I'll tell you, we're heading for big trouble in this world, Taz. There's going to be some real big shit go down in this city, and not in this city, but in this world someday, because everyone's trying to divide people. You know, we have rich versus poor. We have black versus white. What is going on?
You know, the last time we were truly united, you hate to say this.
9/11.
Right. And before that, you go back to like World War II when everybody shared in the misery.
Yep.
And maybe that's what we need. I hate to say that, but maybe we need something that...
We do. We do need to come together as one. And I don't know what it's going to take. It might have to take something very, you know, it's a shame. Like you said, I don't even want to say what it's going to take, but something's going to happen for us to start flying our flags. Heck, I can remember people flying their flags, having flags on their car for half a year, 8, 9, 10 months down the road after 9/11.
Hey, when I was in the service, all we cared about was, you know, the guy next to you. You just cared about how he, you know, whether you could trust him or not.
Hey, Kaz, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about. I know the city has a pavement list of what they're doing and the streets they're going to pave, and I know they have money allocated for it. But one thing I'm not understanding, I'm noticing a lot of streets that's being done, and this started last year. I noticed it on 14th Street. I'm noticing that they're only doing like the middle of the street. They're not doing, you know, where you park. They're doing a third of the road is what it amounts to. They're not paving the whole road. They're paving a third of it. They just did my street on 13th, and they did right down the middle, and I mean, there's potholes. There's parts of the road cracked and busted where you park. And I don't know what's going on. I mean, are they saying, is the city claiming that they're paving A, B, C, D, E, F, G roads this year, but they're only doing a third of them?
Well, when did they pave yours?
Mine was paved 2 weeks ago.
Let me check. Now, don't give me your exact address. You're between roughly where and where?
Ash and, what is it? What is it, Wallace? No, Ash. Oh, it's a 600 block. 600 block East 13th Street, whatever that is.
600 block?
600.
Okay, let me check on what, you know, how that figured into the paving.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, they're not just did that street. There's a lot of streets that they're doing right down the middle. And you know another reason I think they might be doing this, and you can find out, but I have some feeling the reason it is because of these handicap ramps and stuff that's being put in. You know how the streets are flooding?
Right.
I think that might be an issue too, because they have to put these handicap ramps and that in a certain way. And what's going on is when they pave the road tabs, it makes it higher. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Something's going on there. I think that might be another issue. I'm just thinking that, but if you can find that out and let me know next week, why they're only doing a third of the road.
I will check on that.
All right, brother. I got to get back to work, but I just wanted to call you. And like I said, I hope DJ's listening, and he'll come on here and explain, like he did to me, what's going on here.
Yeah, we're going to try to get DJ on there. How'd you like Roaring the Shore, though? Was it pretty good?
Oh, my God. I'll tell you what, anybody that says Erie, there's nothing to do up here, it's absolutely crazy.
What?
We have what, Fresco Days coming, starting this weekend. We just finished with Roar on the Shore. There's something going on every week. But yeah, Roar on the Shore was great. I would like to see a little bit more stuff for kids to do. I didn't see a whole lot for kids.
I think there's too much to do in Erie because we're such a small city, and we got so much to do that.
But I'll tell you one thing.
We depend on. I'm sorry. What's that?
Anybody get arrested? No, I take that back. I've seen one person get escorted out of the main stage where the band was playing, but I don't know that he got arrested. But what I'm trying to say is I didn't see any trouble. You had all that.
No, I think they're trying to keep it down, and they're doing the best job they can.
But I mean, the people's not starting any trouble. These people's coming in having a good time. They're spending a lot of money. And they're drinking. I mean, come on, they're drinking, but they're not causing problems.
No, and I think until they do, I think that's, and they got it, I think they're doing the best job they can and keeping it under control,
Well, I think it's great, and, I'm proud to live here, that there's so many things for my daughter to do, because where I come from, up south, around Pittsburgh, but not in the city, there wasn't things like this to do. I can take my daughter anywhere at any time and find something for her to do. If we can't find anything to do, we can get on the beach and have a good time.
I'll tell you what, I was up in Canada. I'm glad I'm home right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of people, the taxes, the cost, we don't, and I got to say this, we don't rip people off in this town.
Well, I was just talking to somebody that was originally from Canada, and we were talking about the health care, and he was telling me how bad it was, because you have government health care there,
Yeah.
Like, he said it wasn't as bad as far as waiting and stuff like that, because we were talking about what's going to happen up here. Of course, now it's been delayed again. But, well, listen, Kaz, I got to get back to work.
Yep.
People a chance to call. So
see you next week.
Take care, man. And I'll hope TJ will come in there and talk about this. So, I want to support him, and I'm hoping the citizens will. Even if the city doesn't help them, they do take donations, and I think it's a good program that we have Cat TV. That we have that in the community.
I will reach out to him, though.
I got to go, brother.
Okay. We will reach out to DJ. We'll ask him if he'd like to come on, even just to be a guest. He doesn't have to talk about cable TV or anything. Go ahead, caller. You're on.
Actually, I was calling in regards to the previous caller and the comment about kids nowadays not being able to fill out job applications and things. Mm-hmm. Recently, my family and I did move from the city here to part of the county, and I can tell you from having a child here in the school district,
right,
they pass the children along. They don't want to deal with them. My son had a history teacher in his 10th grade year who came right out and told the class, doesn't matter to me what you learn, I get paid either way.
Was this in the city?
Yes, that was at Strong Vincent High School.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I was a school director and used to hear those stories. And you got bad people and good people, and that's the bad part is when are you still on?
Yeah, I'm here.
I got to relate a story to you, and it happened to me when I was young. You know what my job is now, correct?
I'm vaguely aware.
A city controller, that's,
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have a degree in accounting, and I'm in charge of all the city finances, which supposedly means I'm good at math, correct?
Yeah, what
Well,
do you think?
yeah, they passed me on when I was a young man through much of my career, and I went through the same thing about, well, we don't have time to work with you. It was one teacher to straighten out my life, and I visited her about a year ago to thank her.
Well, see,
And she got me straightened out, got me into college, her and the two other teachers. But you know what, if that doesn't happen, I agree with you, it's terrible.
Well, I mean, like I said, I personally grew up in Ohio, and I had a teacher that was like that, too. As a matter of fact, he was my algebra teacher. He took an interest in the fact that I was having a hard time, but because he did take that interest, it helped me so much more than he could possibly imagine.
Yep.
And it disheartens me the way that the school district here works.
Yeah, I
When
don't.
My same son was at Roosevelt Middle School. I'd gone for the parent-teacher conference, and I asked the teachers, I'm just like, why is it I'm not seeing any homework come home? And the teachers came, I wish I was joking. They came right out and told me, the kids don't do it anyway, so we decided not to start issuing it.
You know that we had a rule that homework was supposed to go out, and that was passed by the school board one time. So I wonder what happened to that rule.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's.
Kids,
I don't think I agree with you. I don't think there's a lot of things they don't teach, like practical things, like how to run a bank account, how to fill out an application.
No, and I can remember taking classes in both math class. I had one class that was an elective in high school that was a business class, where there were parts of the curriculum that were directed strictly toward that. How if you wanted to set up a business, this is what you would need to do. Here's the diagram. What do you think the best way is that you would set up the way the store would say, things like that. They don't do any of that anymore.
No, a lot of kids, well, checks are kind of passé now, but for a number of years, kids didn't even know how to fill out checks, or
They still don't.
they couldn't read a savings account statement,
Can't.
And you know what's bad? And I'll say this, that
Fill out a job application by personally going to a couple different places and picking up applications, because, I mean, they were becoming of age to join the workforce.
well, yeah, sometime in high school you ought to be.
And I came right out and showed them, okay, I want you to sit down, and I want you to fill this out the best way you can. And as soon as they got past, what's your social security number, my kids were just like, wait.
Yeah.
I was just like, dude, you have to know more about an application other than just name, address, and phone number.
It was like when I went to college, they weren't even teaching typing, mandatory. And then you get up there and they'd say, there's no more handwritten stuff, you have to type.
Yeah, and then
But
everything, of course, has gone to computers and stuff. And
But you know-
granted, I give it that. A lot of the kids are very computer savvy and so on and so forth, but they're losing all the basics, and the teachers don't teach that. The parents are no longer involved.
Well, I'll tell you this, what I think happened, and I won't blame the teachers for this, but we got this giant push in this country about we have standards, so everybody's got to reach a certain level.
Yeah, but they came about with the standards after they realized, oh, wow, we've got a problem.
Yeah, but now they're teaching to the test, which is even, now we got, they're more concerned about reaching this goal that we're not teaching some other stuff, we're teaching like the areas that are on the test, but the other stuff is going by the wayside, things like writing and spelling and maybe even reading in some cases,
Oh, I definitely agree. I can remember, and I even had my own children. Let's go to the library and get a couple books. I want to see you reading this. It's not that I don't want to raise children who can't read. Of course, I don't. But, I had to explain to them that reading helps to broaden your horizons. It helps to develop your ability to imagine. But when it comes to how everything's running at the schools, as soon as kids get in trouble, parents go, well, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
The teachers are just like, well, what do you want us to do?
You know what I always liked to do, even before, when I was just a parent and I was always involved with the PTA and everything, I would make it a point to introduce myself to the teacher and tell them what I expected.
Oh, I have.
And I think, if I felt like they weren't buying into my idea,
I mean,
Then I wanted my kids switched, you know.
where my youngest son goes to school now, I am, very much in contact with all of his teachers. They have my email address. They have my cell phone number. I talk to most of them at least once a week during the school year.
And I think they like that, because if they know they got your support...
Well, I've told several teachers, even here when my kids were still in the Erie School District, I want to know. I can't help my child succeed in school if I don't know what you guys are teaching.
Right.
If I don't know what you're teaching, if no homework comes home, but they're not willing to issue homework because the kids don't do it anyway. I mean, it's a very broken system, and...
I remember there were two teachers at Lincoln that one time we were at a PTA open house, and they said that if your kid don't do the homework, they get an F. And some parent raised their hand and goes, well, what if they do it later? They get in a couple days later. Do they get the F taken away? And she goes, no.
And that's how it should be.
And the parent was stunned, and she goes, it's required, so you're going to do it, number one. And number two, it was supposed to be in 2 days ago,
Well, see, that too would also be a lot different if parents were more involved.
Yeah, and you know what? All the kids that came through these two teachers,
were there
vast majority are pretty good shape.
That in the way that the kids behave walking down a street.
Yeah, we don't expect, we've gotten to an era where we tolerate mediocrity and incompetence. We put up with it.
And I lived on West 17th Street before we moved out to the county. What I can tell you is that we had a couple kids. There was a couple Hispanic kids, a couple black kids that would always come down the street screaming and everything else. They would shout obscenities at me. Come on in. And I would correct them. I deserve a little more respect than that. And it got to the point where when they walked down the street, it was, good morning, ma'am, how are you? I give them respect. I expect, that in return.
I'll tell you, there was Academy High School before they closed it was a good example of how a school should be run.
Right.
And punishment was dealt equally, fairly, and respect was required. And I'm not saying they were perfect, but boy, that was a good example.
But it made people more involved.
Yeah, because everybody knew that the principal was, you got equal punishment. He didn't look. Everybody came in with a clean slate.
Right.
And that was, that's how it was run.
Right. But yeah, I just wanted to call to make a point about that. It's a sad state of affairs, but it is, I guess.
And we got to get to the kids early and teach them that, it's important how you look, how you communicate, and making good decisions when you're younger.
Oh yeah, I've told my kids several times it's all in the approach.
Yep, because 20 years down the line, if you did something stupid that got you in a lot of trouble, it might cost you.
Oh yeah. Thank you very much for listening.
And thank you for calling.
Bye.
Now there's a parent that I can agree with her. There's, parents should demand more from their schools and everything, and I think people like that when you approach them. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kenneth, I was on East 26 by Walmart.
Okay.
And last Friday, there were people standing in the road with buckets, collecting money from cars.
Did they have yellow? Did they have yellow things on, like vests?
Yes.
I think that was something legit. I saw them yesterday too. But let's see, 26. That.
Were Burger King, McDonald's?
Yeah.
But they're gonna get ran over.
Yeah, but I think they were legit because they had they weren't the what they call random street panhandlers that we have. They looked like they were with somebody, and they seemed like they were under control. Where I saw them, they looked like they were okay. I'm trying to think where I saw them the other day. Was it on Peach Street? It was in the city though, but they had vests on and were identified properly. You want me to try to find out who they were? Lloyd?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you want me to find out who they were?
Yes.
Okay.
And what about them two homeless people on 38th Street?
Are they still there?
Yes. Now there's a pregnant lady with them.
There's all. When I was gone on vacation, I was reading that there's all kinds of lawsuits involving the right of people, it is their constitutional right to panhandle. And it's being challenged in court now that, as long as they obey rules. Well, they even said so much in Erie that the ones up by the mall, the state police, even on Interchange Road in 79, have kind of left them alone. Even though the one guy's got a car parked around the corner that is better than the one I drive or any of my friends. But,
down in Philadelphia, they're cracking down on them.
well, you can't, here's what they do in Chicago. If you want to panhandle, if you want to play an instrument, you want to perform, you want to be a corner magician, because in the big cities, you see a lot of good shows on the street.
Yeah, they get permit.
Right, but you have to have a little placard around right here, Lloyd, right around your neck, telling everybody who you are and you got a license from the city of Chicago. Maybe that's what we ought to do,
Hey, we need the money.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do it legally, but other towns, yeah, they got rules and regulations where you can set up, how you can do it, how long you can do it. But it's getting to be, you feel sorry for people. But like the one guy's been trying to leave Erie for 3 years. And in 3 years, if he couldn't get a tank of gas to move his car, which is parked right around the block from, because I watched him one night get into it, then there's something wrong.
I have friends who can't.
You even got people saying they're homeless veterans, and you find out they're really not a veteran.
Yeah,
and that's.
I have friends who are down on State Street. The guy said he needed $5 for go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And they give him the money. He did.
Well, here's what I offered a guy. When I was a young man, and I was working with another prominent attorney in the city, we were both young men then. We would get hit every day. So he told the guy, "Hey, no, how about if we take you over? We're going to have a lunch break. We'll take you over and have a bowl of soup with you."
Oh, no.
Yep, you never got that offer. It's like if you want to ride to the hospital, I'll give you a ride to the hospital. But that ain't going to happen either. You know that.
No, I know. I'll get off so somebody else get on.
Well, that's okay. We're almost ready to go off. But, hey, Lloyd, I'll try to check. But the ones on 38th Street, I'm going to ask somebody here at the city what our rules are. I know we do have an ordinance against panhandling. Okay? And it all depends whether they want to enforce it or not. Because last week, I think Mr. Clem brought it out. And it's covered under, I'll have to look it up again. I read it here that panhandling, if it's done in a certain way, is against the city ordinance. So maybe we can,
Yeah, see, my point about that is when cars are coming down the road on Peach,
yeah.
they separate out there and they're going to cause an accident.
Well, I remember years ago, I won't say what services were being offered, but I'm telling you, Lloyd, it got pretty bad around Parade Street that, people would come up.
15 to 16.
Yeah, people come up to your cars, just run up there, and I'm going, man, this is bad. And you see the same thing out in like now what you're saying on Peach Street and 38th, they run up to your car. That's not a safe situation at all.
No, see what they say about that.
I will, and I think, like I said, I think Mr. Clem said that is against, we do have an ordinance against that, so I'll look into it again.
Oh, okay. And I'll listen next week and see what you find out.
Okay, and once again, hold my place on that porch of yours for Zabava.
Yeah, 23rd, 24th, and 27th.
You'll be busy. Say hello to Barb for me, too, okay?
Okay. Hey, have a good weekend.
You too, Lloyd. And we haven't got the high sign yet, so we're going to keep going if you want to call. Just looking over what we got to look at. We got to get some information on CAT, about the ordinance on panhandling. Go ahead, caller.
You hearing about those panhandling stories?
What's the latest one?
No, I remember when I used to work at the Michaels on 5th and State, and I used to walk up to work, and I had guys from the Celebrity Bar, the Wonder Bar, and they used to come up to me and ask for money. And I used to tell them, I'm working this side of the street.
I could see you doing that.
And they'd go across and work the other side. But I have seen that gal. I saw her one day this week or last week. She ran right out into traffic. Somebody rolled a window down, and give her a buck or two. And she rolled it up and was sticking it into her shorts there. And they've been working 38th Street there quite a while.
Well, we haven't got it like in Pittsburgh where they sell you flowers on the side of the boulevard. You ever see that?
Yeah, down around Wilkinsburg and right in the boulevard where you turn around.
Yeah, at least you get a product, you know.
And I did see some of those people selling it on French Street up by 8th and French.
What, flowers?
Flowers behind the Warner.
Wow. I remember there used to be a couple guys that were selling, they were working Griswold Park and actually cleaning cars.
Yeah, that was the night Cathedral Prep was graduating.
They had like window washers but, at least you got some for your buck,
Yeah, they roam around every once in a while. So it's like everything else. But
I read I was reading the computer on my way back, and there was an article about, it was out of town somewhere, I'm trying to think where it was now, and one of the reporters got wind of a guy that was panhandling, and this is where I told the story that it's being challenged, the constitutionality of the right to panhandle.
yeah.
And so this reporter got a big sign that had, what did it say, fake on it or imposter. And he found out that the guy was claiming to be a war veteran when he wasn't. And somehow they got a hold of his record, proved him wrong. And the guy left the area. And the reporter collected $2,000 and turned it over to disabled veterans, And, that's what...
Well, you see these people, and you hate to question them, but you see them in front of Sam's Club.
Oh, yeah.
In front of Walmart, they throw up a table real quick, and they put a little American flag in a 5-gallon bucket. And, people, they're beginning to question a suspect of everything now.
Well, yeah, if you're poor and you're trying to get out of Erie like that one guy for, was it 2 or 3 years?
He wants to go first class.
Yeah, he's got a car parked right in the parking lot that's better than the car I drive.
Well, there was one working up there at that medial boulevard as you go into Sam's Club the other day, and he just has this little sign up against that little brick wall there, and he just sits there in a bucket, and he's just watching.
Yeah, well, you figure if you can make, the average person, if they can make $400 or $500 a day tax-free.
Yes.
Who wouldn't do that, right?
Yeah, I used to make cracks that I was going up to Kmart and sell pencils to subsidize my pay.
I remember that guy years ago when I was a young kid. Somebody said something to him, or he knew how much was in that bucket. That's when we learned that he really wasn't sightless.
Yeah.
That was years ago. That was back when Murphy's and Kresge's was open.
Yeah, those are the days. That's when Shuffles used to walk up and down the street.
Oh, right.
Almost, and
We don't want to know what Shuffles was selling, though, do we?
Shuffles? Yeah, right. he had the old Italian hat with a big band in the middle.
Yeah, he was.
With a little card with numbers on it.
Yeah, the little 3-digit numbers.
Yeah. Hey, have a great weekend.
You too, John. And we got the high sign, so unless we get another caller, I want to thank everybody for calling. You bailed me out of a lot of trouble, and we appreciate the phone calls. And once again, if you can't get through on the show, feel free to call that number, my office number, which will come on afterwards, 870-1349. We'll be glad to try to help you. I can't always give you the right answer, but I'll give you I'll give you the right answer. It may not be the one you want to hear, but that's what I will promise. And once again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again here next Monday.
Access Channel 9 from the City Hall Council Chambers. It's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access Channel 9.